Hey there, this is Michael with the general reading for Libra Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus for the month of July 2020. I do hope that this finds you well. I'm not gonna lie, the month of July is starting off with some pretty weighty energy with the astrology. We have a Pluto and Jupiter conjunction that happened on June 30th, and we're starting off July 1st with Saturn entering Capricorn. It's retrograde right now. And we are also having an eclipse in Capricorn on the 5th. And so I'm kind of just going to be starting this intro with a little bit of a different pace. I feel like sometimes I'm just like, and it doesn't really feel like the right energy to come into a reading with, especially with an energy like this. So I'm kind of trying something a little bit differently. So if it seems off, if you're kind of like, is something wrong? No, nothing's wrong. I'm just really trying to be sensitive to the energy and coming in from a more centered place, because there's a lot of change that is happening right now. And where we're going to be feeling this is really going to depend on our own natal charts, but collectively we're experiencing a lot of change right now. And it's good. That's not a bad thing. Really, a lot of the things that are happening needed to happen. And it's sad that it came to that point. But now it's about how we move forward. And for some reason, Libra, I feel like it's for you, we really need to be going slow. So that's just the pace we're doing today. That's kind of the theme, I think. We'll see what comes up for you in the cards. And, you know, we're starting off with some heavy Capricorn energy. And that's not bad. But there's usually tests with that. And a lot of people can panic when they hear those things. And I don't want you to hear that and be like, oh no, everything is falling apart. It's just part of the tides. It's part of the seasons. There's cycles to things. There's rhythms in life. And we're going through a major shift. And you shouldn't be expecting yourself to be going as business as usual. And some of you may need to hear this message. Some of you may need to hear that it's not about going as quickly as possible right now. And that's okay. We live in a society where it's like we think we always have to be productive. We always have to be doing things. We always have to explain ourselves when we don't feel like we can do things. And a lot of this energy, for you, Libra, it's happening in your 4th house. When we're looking at Capricorn energy, and there is also a lot of focus on career, your midheaven, Cancer energy. And so I don't want you to feel like you have to explain yourself this month. I'm a Libra rising, so I'm kind of speaking to both of us a little bit here. And isn't that just such a Libra thing? We'll say what other people need to hear to ourselves, and what we tell other people is what we need to listen to. Right? So let's see. What are the messages for Libra? I'm digging this. Let's see. I like this. I actually really like these cards so far. This is good. Okay. We have the King of Pentacles. And we have the Chariot. So even though the energy collectively is kind of slow, you're kind of sitting pretty at the start of this month, Libra, and maybe you don't even see that. Maybe you don't even realize how abundant you are as this King of Pentacles. Because I actually do feel like this is your energy. I don't feel like this is an earth sign. It could be for some of you, you know, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This feels like how you're showing up in your own life. And this King of Pentacles, it's very long term. This guy isn't just like in the moment. I mean, he is in the moment, but he's very present in that he knows, you know, about these cycles, these seasons that we were talking about. He has a long-term plan. He makes sure that everyone is taken care of. And with this Chariot card, I feel like some of you are really working very hard. And you're coming into a lot of success. And that makes a lot of sense because you have this huge blessing coming to you with your midheaven in Cancer. Your 10th house, your career, your work. You had that Cancer eclipse last month on June 21st. And we actually have another Cancer new moon on July 22nd. Or I'm sorry, July 20th, I believe. And there's only one sign each year. Usually one sign each year. Sometimes there are two that get 2 new moons. And this year it's Cancer. And so this is actually a year for you really to plant seeds for your career and your role in the world. And it looks good. I feel like there's this blessing that's happening for you. And we do have a Mercury retrograde. And sometimes the Chariot, it's not just like everything happens all at once. It's like you need to kind of stay in control of the situation here. Because you could get very easily carried away. And then you have the 3 of Cups. It's really important, Libra, for you to be connecting with people right now. Some of you might be connecting with a friend who's an Earth sign. Or could possibly be a Cancer with this Chariot energy. This is Cancerian energy. And I do want to clarify this 3 of Cups a little bit. The world. Oh my god. Your world is opening up, and I feel like you're actually meeting new people. Which is interesting, because depending on where you are in the world right now, you might be experiencing lockdown. You might be isolating yourself. And that's really going to just be dependent on where you are in the world. But you might be connecting to people virtually with this world card. Your world is being opened up to you. There might be an opportunity that comes through from a friend that's going to give you a lot of stability. But ultimately, I'm really feeling like it's you opening yourself up to people, which is a weird time to do it, right? Because I think you have more to give than you realize. Unicorn energy, wow. So with this Unicorn card, again, your mind is opening. And I think that's what this World card is, because this World and the 3 of Cups, this is showing up in your communication. It's showing up in your mind, specifically. And things are actually opening up for you. And you're getting a lot of spiritual downloads right now. And sometimes that's overwhelming. And sometimes it makes you feel like you're supposed to shut down and go into hermit mode. But actually, Libra, I feel like it's time to start opening up more and finding your people, connecting to people. If some of you are doing intuitive work, I actually feel like that's really opening up for you. Especially if you do have this Cancer midheaven in your own chart, or even if you're just a Libra sun. That 10th house Cancer placement makes you very intuitive. I actually have it myself. And it makes you have to be the family member to the world that you may not have had growing up. And you are supposed to be connecting with people. And I feel like a lot of this movement, and I know this is going to sound lame to some of you, it is connected to this spiritual energy with the unicorn, because the unicorn represents the third eye. And with the chariot energy, while it's certainly a card of action and moving forward and willpower, right? There's also this element of, when you're on the chariot, it's sometimes hard to turn. And so there's sort of this message of figuring out, is this in alignment for me? Making sure the wheels are in alignment, making sure that everything is kind of set, and you have this path before you proceed. Because it can be really hard to change direction. Some of you are going to be changing direction, and you'll kind of see intuitively very quickly if that's what you're supposed to be doing. But you might not be able to do this right away. Especially while Mercury is still retrograde in Cancer through the first half of July. It's going to be going direct on the 12th, and even then, things might be a little slow. But despite this, Libra, you do have a lot of momentum. And that's not surprising, because some really important parts of your chart are being activated. Some of you might be moving. That's actually something I could be seeing with the Chariot and the King of Pentacles here, kind of coming into your own element. I actually do feel like if that's the case, you'd be moving in with other people. Or making yourself closer to other people. Or this move is somehow bringing you to your tribe. Let's see, what else do we have for Libra? Let's look at the second half of July here. Did I not tell you you were moving? 6 of Swords here. You're definitely leaving something behind. You're moving on in some way. And there's actually a lot of people who are going to be moving in July, or looking at moving, getting ready to move. That's totally big with the eclipses we had in Cancer and Capricorn, especially since these are the final ones in that series. We've been having these eclipses since 2018. And I also have been really just asking people and inviting people to look at how much has changed in the past few years. Obviously, this year has changed a lot. But look at 2018. Look at the things that were important to you. Look at the directions you were trying to move yourself in, and where you were versus where you are now. Because I think some of you have already moved forward more than you've realized. And I think if you actually looked back on the past couple of years, you know, in July 2018, when we first started this eclipse cycle, a lot of things started changing for you around then. And it became really clear what was and wasn't working, both for your home and for your work. And there's been a lot of change that you've been experiencing there. And some of you may finally be past this, or some of you are finally moving forward with the 6 of Swords. And you do have the Hierophant here in the reverse as well. I feel like I kind of wanted to say this because we have the combination of the Unicorn and then the Hierophant in reverse. I think some of you may be deprogramming certain beliefs that you have. It could be religious beliefs, it could be spiritual beliefs, it could be political beliefs, it could just be, you know, deconditioning yourself. And aren't we all doing that right now? Aren't we all really looking at our biases, or really just seeing the world in a different way? And maybe even looking at kind of the uncomfortable ways that we contributed to inequity. And this isn't calling anyone out. It's important that we call each other in, right? And really have these conversations, because I think you're seeing things in a new way. And some of you might be doing something that's totally non-traditional or off the beaten path with this Hierophant card. And again, you know, this could be off in the distance. You know, we're looking at the Six of Swords. We're seeing this guy who has weathered the storm, which is behind him here with these waves, and he's looking onto this land now. There's land in sight. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to arrive at this place in July, but I think there's a clear sense of direction that you have, especially with that Chariot card that you're experiencing in the first half of the month. And the world is just opening up to you. Even if there are delays, even if there are, you know, even if life gets in the way, and things are just changing. We're all kind of on this chariot right now, and not everything is in our control. And as a Virgo sun, I can tell you that that's a big lesson for me, is letting things go and stop trying to figure everything out. Because the way that we think about things is assuming that a lot of things are just going to be a certain way. And so much of our kind of paradigm is in shift right now, where we really can't assume that things are going to look exactly the way we're envisioning them, right? And it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen for you, the things that you're trying to achieve or the relationships you're trying to have. It's just going to happen differently, and that's okay. And you just have to be a little inventive. You just kind of have to take control and work with the energy that you have available to you. What else do we have? What are the other messages for Libra? Show me clearly. Interesting. So, we have the Empress. This is your energy. We do have the Fool in reverse and the Two of Pentacles in reverse. Again, I don't necessarily feel like you're going to be able to just jump into something here with this Fool card in reverse. And if that is available to you, it might be worth reconsidering. Okay? Don't just go taking the first offer that's given to you. I know that seems scary if there's a lot that's in transition for you. But you're being reminded that you're this Empress. And that you can be really choosy with the energy that you allow in your life. Even if things feel a little chaotic and out of control, you can be in control and not feel like you have to jump into something head first here. And with this Two of Pentacles in reverse, there might be something that kind of falls away. And it could feel a little bit like a setback. I'm kind of getting that vibe. And that's sort of a theme for July. And that doesn't mean that it's all over, that you're doomed. It's just a setback. A setback doesn't mean that everything is ruined, okay? And I think you know that. I think you're kind of aware of this. You still are very much in your power as this Empress here. Some of you could be working with a Taurus on something. I see that with the Hierophant as well as the Empress. But I actually feel like if there is this Taurus involved, you're kind of just taking space from each other right now. And maybe even letting that person go. Or just... letting go doesn't mean that you forget about something, right? It doesn't mean that I'm over it. Like, it's not just like said and done. It means that you're not trying to control it anymore. I actually have a video about this on my Instagram where I was by the river and I did this ritual to release and let go and surrender. And I dropped this leaf into the river, and this leaf actually circled back. And what I learned from that video, from that experience, is that letting go means that you're going to allow things to just go in the cycle and the rhythm that they're going to go in. And I think this month for you, Libra, it's about you figuring out what you can control, which honestly is a lot more about your attitude and your perspective and the way you're looking at things and your emotions, instead of trying to control everything else external to you. Or trying to make your emotions conditional on the way that the world looks around you. And honestly, Libra, I feel like you're coming into some pretty big abundance. If not in July, you're on that track, you're on that path, you see it coming because you have the King of Pentacles, you have the World, you have the Three of Cups celebrating something, you have the Empress. And even if there's a setback, even if there's a loss of money, which there might be for some of you, with this Two of Pentacles, that's not the end of the world to the Empress. Let's pull one more animal card for you, Libra. Let's pull one more. Ooh. So we have two. Interesting. We have crocodile. And we have dragon. So the unicorn card represents the third eye. And the dragon represents the solar plexus, the third chakra, which is your willpower, your sense of self, your determination. And crocodile is a lot about patience. Because crocodiles will sit with their eyes above the water, kind of just waiting for something to come to it. And I believe that crocodiles will sometimes go weeks, I even want to say months, without eating. And it's just waiting for prey to come to it. It's having that sort of wisdom and finding the right time to act. And again, we were talking about this with the Fool in the reverse. I don't think it's necessarily time for you to react. And you have this Chariot, which is about willpower, but I think the willpower is actually in you containing a reaction and not being reactive, not jumping off the first, cliff you see here, not diving into something brand new just because it shows up. You want something that's off the beaten path, and that takes time. You have to kind of make your way. That's why we're the waymaker. But I think there's a lot of wisdom in these two cards. And you're really tapping into that. And it's not always fast, fast, fast. And there's definitely this part of you that wants to go quickly. This Chariot card is showing up in your heart. It's showing up in your emotions. You want to go into the next chapter. You want to barrel through. And it's opening up. You see it opening. You see changes happening. But there might be things you can't control. There might be you know, some spiraling as you're getting there. It might not be the most direct path or seem like the most direct path. But it's not like anything is going wrong. And I think it's really easy to judge the moment as wrong when there's a lot of change that's happening, or a lot of setbacks, or a lot of things that aren't happening the way we want them to. But it's actually bringing a lot of things back into alignment, back into correction. And we were talking about that with Chariot too, coming into alignment, aligning those wheels. And you're really finding yourself in a very profound way. You're showing up in your own reading here as the Empress. And it's like you're getting to know yourself. And there are new people coming into your life. It feels like there's just new everything for you. And I'm just going to say this because Aries, or Mars entered Aries, which is your 7th house. It is your relationships. Don't go charging into a relationship. Play a little hard to get with this Empress. Because you have a lot of power, Libra. And I feel like of all the signs, you might be the one who gives that up to accommodate somebody else. And if it feels like you've been single forever, or you just haven't had this relationship that you want, reel back a little bit and ask yourself, well, is my life really ready for this? Is this really the right time for me to be in this relationship? And that's going to be dependent on you individually. This is a general reading. But with that Mars energy, there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of drive that's being brought into relationships for you. And it could also be conflict, being real. It could be some fighting. And maybe that's why it's important for you to take space and for you to not be so reactive. Because that's your power. That is your superpower this month, is to just be present. And when you're a Libra, it's like when the whole world is doing one thing, you're kind of doing the opposite. Because you're the scales, you're finding that balance. Especially if you're a Libra rising. And those are all the messages I have for you right now, Libra. I do hope that this was helpful. I hope that it gave you some things to think about, gave you some peace of mind. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what's going on for you. Where do you feel like this patience is being tested for you? I do feel like it's going to be worthwhile in the long run. So don't fret it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just keep moving. Keep going with the flow and just wait, you know? I do have links for personal readings and Reiki sessions down below for those of you who are interested in that. And I also have a natal chart calculator if you're interested in looking at, you know, the different the different videos for your other signs, your moon, rising, or Venus sign. And if you don't know what those are, you can use that natal chart calculator. And finally, I do have that astrology blog as well that I've been kind of referencing throughout the reading. I definitely recommend taking a look at that. And I will see you all in the next video. Have a happy July.